Oh, it's a big thing.
It's just, well, it's a little thin.
Oh, big.
What are you doing? Are you ready? Yeah, what are you doing?
We're doing an unveiling. Get in close and tight on him because I'm ready for him.
Must be a naked woman or something.
Woohoo! The Pink Floyd album covers. That's my favorite.
Oh my God.
That's sick.
Holy cow.
Damn, dude. Wow.
Howdy, howdy. This is Clara Lawrence. I have been waiting so long to do this, but I'm going to get right into it for right now. This is a huge panel cradle board I got from Jerry's Artorama. It's 2 foot by 4 foot. And I had to go big because I've got a big project that is going on. I'm so stinking excited about it. And I'm throwing down the color and we're going to have a nice background develop. Good start. Good start. Nice stormy clouds all over the place. So at least for a nice dramatic background, I think. So we're going to have action coming here in this direction. So, yeah. All right, I use what I'm calling alcohol dyes. I made it with Alumilite dyes and also Resin art pigments mixed with alcohol, and it creates a nice shimmery background to this piece because Mitch from Stone Coat Countertops is doing a collaboration, and I'm doing the first part, which is the bulk of what this video is about, and he's going to follow up with the second part. Now, I did do a protective covering with that with a archival spray just to make sure the loose pigments were intact, and had planned on doing a resin coat on top of that. I've got some little bit of black lines in there to add kind of like a smoky element. And I find that when I just drizzle a line on there and then run my finger through it, it gives that nice little smoky look that I'm really looking forward to. Testing out different colors to put in the background for some added effects in the painting. Oops. I think our little light here is having a hard time. So I'm thinking about going with these two right here, mainly because this is white and this has a subtle bit of orange, but this is really glowing still. Okay, this one's doing really well. Do it. Okay.
Less scared?
Huh?
Less scared now?
No, still scared. It's orange. It's bright orange with blue. Oh, good. Okay. I'm going to do the same kind of thing where it's... I wanted to add the possibility of maybe having some glow-in-the-dark pigments there. Don't know if they came out just yet. I'll have to test it when I go back to Rhonda's because the piece is still over there. Anyway, I just want to talk about this project because I'm so excited about it. Okay, so here's the scoop about the project. I was over at Rhonda's place, RK3 Designs, for a pro class. Mitch was visiting. Mitch is from Stone Coat Countertops Resin, and I wanted to do a collaboration with him real bad. Why not? Let's have some fun. We have a lot of things that we're both interested in, and I had this idea about doing up a dragon and bringing that, and then him finishing it up and making fire with resin. So his eyeballs got a little bit big. He got a little nervous at that moment, or he was messing with me. I don't know. Now I don't know, but you'll find out later what I mean about that part. So the plan is to create this dragon using the alcohol dyes with Alumilite dyes and also resin art pigments to work with the colors and build up the colors and then continue on with my pens that I use. All right, so I had a little bit of a boo-boo. I cleaned off the chalk lines. That worked out great. Left a nice black line on there. And then I started doing the technique that I did this last time, where I was playing with this new color. And so I thought I'd just go for it, you know, and start applying it to the background to give it a little bit of tooth to build up my colors. And then I start working in this zone here, and I notice it's like, wait a minute, where'd my lines go? So the lines have disappeared a little bit. So at any rate, you can see them a little bit. I'm gonna go back in with the chrome marker. It's more so that I can see what's going on as far as detail lines, because there's a lot of detail in there and I don't want to lose that. So, whoops, kind of got to learn some things, right? So that iridescent color that I'm working with in the background is from Pinata, and it's one of their new colors. It's opal, and I notice it behaves a little bit different from the rest of the alcohol inks. It seems to really bond with the surface, makes it easy to build colors and develop them. All right, so I figured out what I was doing. I started to reapply over here, no problem. So I got over to here, and I'm working the brush back and forth, and I just picked up the lines right there, gone. Boom. So what I need to do is apply it, but not rub it in. And I'm going to do that for the first coat, and then go back in and apply a different, more and more layers on top of this coat. So I should be good. Yeah, when you use different mediums and different ways of doing it, you run into different problems. And yes, I'm using the word different a bunch because there was a lot of things that were unique about this particular piece that I didn't normally do. I did a tray recently where I used this opal Pinata ink, and I love the way it built up the background and some of the iridescence qualities of it shown through the other colors, and I kind of wanted to capture that again, and that's why there's so much time in creating and building up this background color. Now the other colors that I'm applying from here on out are all the either Alumilite dyes or the Resin Art colors, and the really intense colors are probably the Resin Art colors. Now primarily most of the blues in the background that you saw when I first did the alcohol ink, I believe those were mostly Alumilite dyes, except for one of them that was Blue Moon from Resin Art. Now I started running into an unusual problem. On my right side, I have almost a full wall of windows, and it's a great spot for the studio. However, when you're playing with things that are iridescent, have a lot of metallic kind of sheens to them, when the light hits them, all of a sudden they kind of give a nice flat level of sheen over your piece, and it's hard to see where your lights and your shadows are when you're starting to build up your pieces. So I constantly had to do a dodge back and forth, but kept working on it and kept moving along. So it really helps when you're trying to build up colors with alcohol inks or alcohol dyes to apply it with a brush and try not to rub in your colors. All right, it's bugging me a little bit. It's just a little bit too on the pink side, and I want to redden him up. So I've got a combination of red and brown in that cup there. So I'm going to try and put another layer and see if I can darken this up a bit. So we'll see. So I mixed up a nice dark red, almost a maroon in my cup, and just applying that in thin layers, and it did bring out the red. I can tell you I was really relieved when the dragon finally started becoming more red than pink. Anyway, back to the good stuff. So these dots that I'm adding now are actually a gold interference, I believe a pearl type finish, also from Resin Art, from the Bling It collection. And Resin Art's made by ClaraLawrence, so I want to make sure I'm clarifying all that. Anyway, it works with both resin and acrylics, and I love adding that interference. It adds a little bit of playing with a light factor, and I ended up trying to use it as highlights for this dragon, and it worked out really well. I ended up also building up the tones in the teeth as well, and then adding some highlights of white on the teeth. Now here comes the tricky part, working with the eye, because man, I'll tell you, if the eye doesn't work well or look right, the whole piece is kind of, well, to be honest with you, kind of jacked up. So sometimes I wait till the last minute to do the eyes. Now, this part I wanted to set Mitch up for success. And I really thought about it and even referenced a whole bunch of other dragon illustrations because you can't find the real thing in real life. So I'm looking at illustrations that were conveying flames and a source of heat or intensity. And I ended up coming up with this idea of it smoldering, like he was starting to develop some heat in his mouth. So I decided on using acrylic paints and helping it build up heat or a sense of heat. So that way when Mitch took this piece, he would be set up for success. And either he could do smoke coming out or actually long drawn out flames. It was up to him, but either way, it was going to work. Or at least I hope so. So let me just show you the colors that I used. So these are just golden fluid colors that you guys saw me apply in layers and just simply dotting and eventually mixing, you know, a couple colors together to create the gradual shade up. Now the alcohol inks that I used, there were several things. The first one, I put like a layer of opal on the painting because it kind of creates a little bit of a texture to it that I can build on top, and it doesn't seem to wash away really quickly, so I can build other colors on there. It still has an overall shimmery effect. And then I created a color from these two colors here in one of my little bottles where it's, I believe it was 4 drops of the red and 1 drop of the brown in there to darken it up. I used a little bit of the pitch black from Ranger for some shadows. Let's see, I created some inks with using some Color Art colors. This is from her Bling It collection. This is Scarab Beetle, and you can see there it's kind of a little bit of a chameleon. Probably more interference than chameleon there. This is the other one. This is definitely a chameleon. I'm sorry, I'm not talking straight. This is definitely an interference, meaning it only has 1 shift color property. And that was used for a lot of the highlights and build up there. Now the red color is Queen Stiletto, and then kind of a golden color there is Autumn Flame. So all these were used, you know, back and forth, sometimes combining these colors together to create other colors. But what was it? All right, I have to admit, this is one of my favorite things to do. I love working with line art, and especially with combinations of different mediums and then adding the line art to it. It seems to bring out a lot more detail. You can really get in there and make it simplified, or you can make it extremely detailed, or even play with personalities and textures and such like that. It's just another element of design and art that puts my signature touch on it, or I don't even know if you want to call it a signature touch, but it puts a little bit more of me into the piece. When I'm doing the dragons, they become more personalities. The horses, not so much, but the dragons, I think because it's more of a fantasy-oriented type of creature, it's like, might as well. So I refer to them as, you know, this guy being fierce or this guy being, you know, sassy and things like that. So it does add a little bit of personality to, or at least to me, while I'm drawing them out and such. So I will change up how much hatch work I do to create depth and the little finesse touches and such. Sometimes it's really detailed, sometimes it's really simplified. So it just depends on each piece and what each piece is calling me to do. I have been leaning towards more Posca pens, the acrylic pens, on top of either alcohol ink or resin. They seem to work really well. And then a lot of times I'll come through and do another layer with chrome markers on top of that. And I use the Molotow chrome markers. I think I'll show that a little bit later on too. And when I do the combination of the two, I'll do a lot of intense work with the black. Yep, there's the marker there. And then I'll use the chrome markers to just do main bold lines and a couple of hatch works just to draw attention to the simplicity of it. Especially when you're messing around with resin and because I love doing things in layers. And so when I do this in combination with resin, it really does bring a lot of punch to it, especially, well, you guys have heard me talk about alcohol inks and such under resin. It really makes them pop, makes those colors just come alive. And you're going to see that a little bit later on when we apply resin on top of this. It just makes the color punch through. So what do you think? Do you like the chrome markers in there or not? I'm curious. He's done and ready for Mitch to do his magic. I'm thrilled with how he turned out. This was a big challenge because a lot of these colors had a shimmer to it and just different angles. I was almost blinded because I couldn't see the depth. But at different angles that you sit, you can see, you can see shadows. But when I was coming in from this direction, it would be all one tone because it would be almost like a metallic shimmer. So really tricky to paint, but real happy with the details. And super stoked to see where Mitch takes this from here. I can't imagine what it would feel like to be on his shoes, to get a piece and go, okay, now your turn.
I want to see.
Huh?
Oh, it's a big thing.
It's a little thing.
Oh, big.
What are you doing?
Are you ready?
Yeah, what are you
We're
doing?
doing an unveiling. Get in close and tight on him because I'm ready for him.
Must be a naked woman or something.
Woohoo! The Pink Floyd album covers with the naked chicks. That's my favorite.
Oh my God.
That's big.
Holy cow.
Damn, dude. Wow.
Shit, Claire, that's... Now, what are you going to do with it?
He's going to make
I'm
fire.
gonna ruin it if I touch
I got,
No
you,
pressure.
I got you set up, dude. He's smoldering.
it. Dude.
Holy cow, that is so pretty.
He's going to literally make fire out of resin.
And that's all with alcohols
Alcohol ink and paint pens, yeah.
Is there any resin on that at all?
Yeah, the first coat's the resin, so I just did the blue
And then,
on there.
is that mica powder that you painted with?
Mm-hmm. A lot of the resin art stuff, Alumilite, it's all Alumilite, resin art.
Dude,
There's a
is
tiny
so
bit of
Isn't
just
that
regular
gorgeous?
black. So, and then this is acrylic paint just to build up the opacity.
Shut the front door. That is... I wish you
It's
would have... I
shocking.
wish you... Well, no, because you
I
don't
love
have the
this
fire
too.
yet.
Okay, there's so much to this video. I need to do it in part 2, and I will be posting the part 2 the immediate next day, but I'll also put a link in the description too for you guys for later viewing. Oh, and I'll put a link in the description below for Stone Coat's video when that is available. But yeah, we're going to be videotaping it and sharing with you guys too. All right. Later, y'all.